Welcome to Earth Science. This is lesson on inner and outer planets. We will discuss the check-in question at the beginning of class. These are the objectives that we're covering throughout the unit. These are the goals for today: to identify the planets in our solar system and to understand the dimensions of our solar system. So we'll do a couple of review questions. So if you want to be prepared for the review at the beginning of class, by observing the sun's outermost layers, it helps us understand the interior. How does this information help us to predict solar storms? So that's the question that we're going to use to review. Okay, so when we talk about the planets, we're going to talk about the planets in terms of their order from the sun out, okay? So in this graphic, you can see that Mercury is the planet that's closest to the sun, and then Venus, Earth, and then Mars, okay? Ceres is an asteroid that is in orbit in our solar system, and scientists keep a watch on it because it's not quite sure that its orbit is a stable orbit. And then we have Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Pluto is considered a planet. Again, they're just calling it a dwarf planet. And then there's 203 UB, which is another dwarf planet that is out past Pluto. So when we talk about the inner planets and the outer planets, the inner planets are the 4 planets that are closest to the sun, okay? And they all have different characteristics. So if we look at these 4 planets, we know that Earth has water and oxygen. It has an atmosphere. Some other characteristics of the Earth are that it's small and it's dense, and it has a rocky surface. If we look at Venus, Venus does have an atmosphere. It's just not a very hospitable atmosphere. It is made up of sulfuric acid. Not very pleasant. It is also a very small and dense planet, and it has a rocky surface. Mars, which we've been getting more information about because of the rover that landed on Mars, and they've been able to send photographs and samples back here to Earth. We know that Mars has an atmosphere as well. It's mostly made up of carbon dioxide. It is a small and dense planet. It has a rocky surface. Scientists believe that water may have existed at some point in time in Mars, and it does have seasons. Not like ours, but there are seasons that do occur on Mars. Mercury has water, has almost no atmosphere whatsoever. It's the smallest and most dense planet, okay? It's the one that's closest to the sun, and it has a rocky surface. And I mean smallest in terms of the inner planets. It's not as small as Pluto, but it's still a pretty small planet. Then we get to the larger planets, which are further out. We have Jupiter. Jupiter does not have a solid surface. It is known as one of the gas giants. It does have an atmosphere. The atmosphere is made up of hydrogen and helium. It has this great red spot on it, which scientists believe was a storm, because the size of it continues to diminish. It has many moons, and it also has rings, which a lot of people don't know because you don't see them. But there are rings that encompass Jupiter. Saturn is also considered one of the gas giants. It does not have a solid surface. Its atmosphere is made up of hydrogen and helium. The average density is that is less than water. It has many moons, and it has those rings that are visible. Uranus, also considered one of the gas giants. It does not have a solid surface. Its atmosphere is mainly hydrogen and helium. It is a blue-green in color because it is due to the methane, the amount of methane that is found on Uranus. It has many moons. It also has rings, which aren't always visible. And it has a vertical axis, which means that it's not like tilted just slightly. It's tilted on its side. So it's like an east-west axis rather than a north-south one. It's pretty cool. Neptune also is considered one of the gas giants. It does not have a solid surface. Its atmosphere is mainly hydrogen and helium. It's blue in color. It has many moons. It also has rings that aren't always visible. And it has a dark spot on it, which you can see here. And that, oops, I didn't mean to move it, is also considered a storm, or a storm that is no longer in existence, but because it's so far away that we can still see it because of kind of like the time difference. Pluto. Pluto was a planet, then it wasn't a planet, and now it's a planet again. It's considered a dwarf planet. It has a solid surface. It has a single moon, and it is very different than the gas giants. If it were closer and part of the inner planets, it would be very similar, what they believe, to like what the inner planets are. It's solid, it's dense, and they're not sure if it has an atmosphere or not. That information is still needing to be uncovered. So what we're going to do is we are going to do a virtual lab on the solar system, and what we're going to be investigating will be what are the dimensions of the solar system, okay? And you'll have to make sure that you have watched the video, which is this video, prior to class, and you will follow the directions that will be on the whiteboard to complete the lab. And it'll be great fun. Thank you.